Hello and welcome to your Pi free lesson today. Today we're going to be focusing on writing task 1. I'm going to share my screen because I have a presentation for you. And let's get straight into it. Sorry. So today's learning intentions, we're going to develop our grammatical range and accuracy. We're going to practice how to plan an essay response, and we're also going to develop our vocabulary and integrate it into our speaking and writing. If anyone is joining and wants to add into the comments, please feel free. We're not going to be speaking today because we don't have that sort of availability, but I'll be getting you to write and to send me your responses towards the end as well. Let's begin. So I just realized some banging outside. I thought I'd shut the window, but it's still extremely loud. All right. Yeah, I could just grin and bear through it. Okay, so starting off, who can define these words? If anyone is joined already and would like to share and try to join in with the chat, feel free to let us know. We have innovate, we have resemble, we have diverse, variety, and we have the word thereby. I'm going to go straight into it. We have, firstly, innovate. That is a verb, which means to make positive changes to an established thing or idea. So often, if you're an inventor, it might require you to innovate something that already exists. So for example, when I think of inventor, I think of as an episode of The Simpsons when Homer Simpson becomes an inventor, and he manages to innovate something on a chair by adding extra legs that can swing backwards. So he hasn't invented the chair. You could say he's reinvented the chair by innovating it so that these legs at the back will come out if you swing too far back to save him. So there's one example of innovate. By the way, I will be addressing The Simpsons a lot when it comes to examples. We have resemble, which is to have a similar appearance or characteristics to something. One example I might think of is in The Simpsons. If you think about Lisa and Maggie Simpson, the two daughters of Homer and Marge, they could say they resemble each other in their appearance. They both have that spiky hair, don't they? And so resemble means to have similar appearance or characteristics. So your personality might resemble that of your brothers and sisters or your parents maybe as well. Next up, we have diverse, showing a great deal of variety. We talk about diversity in terms of ideas, when people might disagree or come up with different ideas for each other. We can talk about diversity in terms of gender and ethnic background. If an organization has a nice mix of different genders and different races. And you can also have diversity in terms of what your hobbies are. You might have diverse hobbies if you do lots of different things each week. Next, we have variety, similar to diverse, and then it's a quality or state of containing different forms or types of things. So, for example, in a diverse society, there will be a variety of perspectives and opinions of things. And finally, we have this word thereby. This is an adverb that introduces the effect of something that has previously been mentioned. And I want you to see if you can try and integrate these 5 words in our writing tasks today. So as a starter task, I want you to complete the sentences below using words from the new Lexis that I have given you. I'm not going to give you the definitions again. I want you to see if you can remember those definitions. But from 1 to 5, I'll read you the sentences. Number 1, Nick got 8 good hours of sleep last night. Blank, he could face the day with positivity and energy. Number 2, From looking at her family photos, I noticed that my friend strongly something her grandmother. Number 3, India is a very culturally blank country. Number 4, shareholders believe that lab-grown meat will greatly blank the food industry. And number 5, the restaurant has a fantastic blank of dishes. Now, for one of these, for number 2, you need to change the word on the left ever so slightly in order for it to make grammatical sense. I'll let you decide which one that would be. Okay, we're going to go through the answers. So for number 1, Nick got 8 good hours of sleep last night. Thereby, he could face the day with positivity and energy. So remember, thereby sort of meaning as a result of something that comes before. Number 2, from looking at her family photos, I noticed that my friend strongly resembles her grandmother. Apologies, that should say resembles. Because when you're talking about one other person, the verb after it must have an S. My apologies, I forgot to put an S at the end of that of that word. You can also put a D as well. Her friend strongly resembled her grandmother. If you'd probably say that if their grandmother has passed away. So you're talking about the past. And number 3, India is a very culturally diverse country. So again, it's got people from people from all over India have very different languages. You might have different religion, you have different perspectives, different politics. So lots of difference is contained within India itself. So it's a very diverse country. And number 4, shareholders believe that lab-grown meat will greatly innovate the food industry. So it obviously, lab-grown meat is something that people are investing a lot in. It's not still food, so it's not like it's inventing a new thing, but it is definitely innovating how people create food. And finally, number 5, the restaurant has a fantastic variety of ideas, because there's the definitions there for you. There was a challenge to create another sentence that uses the red words in a different way. I'm going to show you what that would have looked like in this slide. So as you can see, the words in red I have put into this table. Put into this table: innovate, resemble, diverse, variety, thereby. And as you can see, you can change ever so slightly the words to put them into different contexts. So if you innovate something, the noun, the thing that you are showing, is innovation. You could then describe somebody who innovates well as innovative. And the way they do things, you could describe their actions as innovatively. So you could say, maybe something like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good innovator. Perhaps someone like Bill Gates, who helped innovate the computer industry. You could say he innovatively added his ideas to the computer industry. Another example, then, we have resemble. There isn't really an adjective or adverb version I could think of when it comes to resemble. Resemble is something that you do sort of without any sort of specific action. But what something can have is a resemblance. Okay, so if you resemble your parents, you could say you bear a strong resemblance to your parents. Diverse, lots of different ways you could write diverse. We're talking about diversity as the thing, when there is a state of lots of diverse people or lots of diverse ideas. Diversify is when you change, you add lots of different details and lots of different elements to something. So you can diversify your portfolio, for example, if you add lots of different elements to your portfolio or to your resume, CV. And then finally, we have variety. And when things have variety, they tend to vary each other. And you can have different adjectives various, varied, and varying all have various meanings, but they're all very similar to each other. But you do use them in slightly different contexts. Okay, let's move on. Another task. I want you to figure out which sentence is correct. Now, only one of these sentences makes logical and grammatical sense. Just note that these years I put in each of them are in the past. Okay, that will help you figure out which one makes logical sense. So number one, she has attended the university from 2020 to 2023. She has attended the university from 2020 to 2023. Number two, she is attending the university from 2020 to 2023. She is attending the university from 2020 to 2023. Number three, she attended the university from 2020 to 2023. And number four, she attends the university from 2020 to 2023. Now, I'm just going to see if we have anyone on the chat who would like to add anything or would like to try and hazard a guess before I move on. Okay. Okay, so the answers. I can find where I was. Here we go. So the answer is she attended the university from 2020 to 2023. I'll explain why. So number one, this is wrong because it is in the present perfect tense. You don't use the present perfect tense when talking about specific times in the past. Okay, so if you're saying she has attended the university, you would just stop the sentence there. You don't then give a time frame. Okay, present perfect is about talking about the present, but in how it relates to the past. Number two, she is attending the university from 2020 to 2023. This would have made sense back in 2020 or back in 2029. But this is what you'd use when you're talking about something happening now. In the present progressive, you talk about what's happening now or what's going to happen in the near future. So this doesn't make sense because these dates are in the past. And finally, this tense, she attends the university. This mixes past continuous with present simple. So when using the verb forms to be, which is things like is, am, or are, then the following verb must end in ing, okay? So you might have said she was attending the university from 2020 to 2023. That would have been fine. But you never would say she attends. You could say she attends the university. That's fine as well. But then you wouldn't use those dates because if you say she attends the university, you're talking about present tense. You don't need to give a time frame. You're talking about what's happening now as it is. So, next one. Which sentence is correct? Let's go through them. I went to purchase the tickets for number one. Number two, I go to purchase the tickets. Number three, I purchased the tickets. And number four, I went to purchase the tickets. I'll give you 10 seconds to consider which one, or maybe two, is correct there. And the answer is I purchased the tickets and I went to purchase the tickets. I'll explain why both of them are correct in a moment. So first one though, this one's wrong. This one attempts to use the infinitive to purchase, but when you use an infinitive, so that's to plus verb, then this must always use a present tense verb, okay? So I went to purchase the tickets, it's fine. I went to buy the tickets. You never use a past tense verb after the word to. And I go to purchase the tickets. This sentence mixes present tense, that's present tense go with the past tense purchased in the same clause. Okay, so I go to purchase the tickets would have been fine, but it's again, we're mixing up the infinitive again in a wrong way. So this one, number 3, is past simple. That's absolutely fine. I purchased the tickets. This one is also past simple, but with an infinitive. So it's emphasizing the action of going to purchase the tickets more than the act of actually purchasing them. Okay, so it just adds a little bit more detail. But usually, when you say I went to purchase the tickets, you're probably going to say something about what happened on your journey there, or as you got there. Right, and finally, for the last sentence, which one of these is the best? Now, they can a lot of them can make sense, but I want you to decide which one sounds the best. What's the first one? What took you so long? I've been waiting for 3 hours. Number 2, what took you so long? I am waiting for 3 hours. Number 3, what took you so long? I waited 3 for hours. And number 4, what took you so long? I had waited for 3 hours. Okay, so ones that do make sense, the most sense is that first one. What took you so long? I have been waiting for 3 hours. So, as you can see here, for this number 4, this sentence is past simple followed by past perfect. This would make sense if the speaker stopped waiting a while ago and then explained what they did after. But what I wanted you to imagine in this scenario was like this picture here. This man is clearly been waiting at something, and this man who's arrived late has just literally arrived 3 hours late. So this one would make sense if they were talking after the event, like maybe a day after someone had waited 3 hours. This sentence is in the past simple followed by past simple again. Again, it makes sense if the speaker gave up waiting and is speaking after the event. I actually did make a mistake there again. I think you might have spotted it when I was reading it. I waited for 3 hours. I should swap over the 3 and the 4 there. And this one just doesn't make sense. This sentence is past simple followed by present continuous. Present continuous does not work with a time scale. Okay, if you're saying I am waiting, you don't then say how long you have been waiting. Okay, you need to use present simple when you're talking about a time scale. So it's I have been waiting for 3 hours. Okay, so that's the present. This is called the present perfect continuous. It's a great tense to use to say what you're doing and for how long you have been doing it. Have been is a very useful couple of words to use in that regard. Right, we're going to get straight into the writing now. So it's very important that you understand what are the 4 main marking criteria that IELTS examiners look at when it comes to assessing your writing. You have the 4 main headings. You've got cohesion and coherence, lexical resource, grammatical range, and task response. So cohesion and coherence is simply all about how well you organize your writing. It's got to show that your thoughts and your phrases are connected in a logical way. So this is where it helps to use these words here, thereby, therefore, similarly, in the same vein, on the other hand, and words like that to help connect words and phrases. Number 2, lexical resource. Lexical is just another fancy way of saying words or vocabulary. So that's why I started this session with 5 words for you to put into a sentence. It's important for you to have a wide range of vocabulary so that you have more tools to express yourself. Grammatical range and accuracy simply is about having a good range of sentence structures, but most importantly, making sure your grammar is correct. Okay, so if you're somebody that is looking to try and get a 6 or a 7 to try and basically get the minimum requirement to get into university, you need to be making sure that you're getting frequent feedback on whether your grammar is as good as possible. If you're looking to get an 8 or a 9, then that's when you can start to show off different ways of grammatical structures, which I'll be showing you in models later. So this means that you use a range of sentence types: simple, complex, compound, and opening sentences in different ways. you're not just always starting off with a noun, subject, verb, etc. Maybe it means starting off with a subordinate clause before going into a main clause. And finally, task response, this simply just means giving the right response to a task, giving a very clear and very thorough response to what is being asked of you. Right, let's have a look at a writing task question. So we're going to start off by writing an overview, but let's look at the question first of all. These pie charts present the types of energy used to generate electricity in Germany and France in 2009. So as you can see, we have for both countries on the left, all types of energy was you got their conventional thermal energy, nuclear energy, and renewables. As you can see, France had lots more nuclear energy, a lot less conventional thermal energy, and a lot more renewables. It does go into more detail then about what types of renewables there were. And as you can see, there are, well, keen observers will notice that there are 5 different types of renewable energy being reported on. You can only see 4 actually being used, but it's important to note that geothermal is mentioned for both countries, and they used 0 geothermal energy in 2009. Nuclear energy, I'm not too sure. You don't need to go into too much detail about nuclear energy, but if you do know what conventional thermal energy is, that could be a bit of a bonus for your response, but it's not that important. But essentially, when we talk about conventional thermal energy, think about the word conventional. It means sort of things that have existed for a long time. So when you think about the types of energy that we've used, or energy sources that we've used for a very long time, we can think of coal, we can think of oil, and essentially the fossil fuel. Fossil fuels is what we refer to as conventional thermal. Okay, so here's the question. Write a report on how these countries generated electricity in the year 2009. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So the key things for your introductory overview is what energy source did each country rely on the most for their electricity? What did they use the least? And are there any similarities and or differences in how they generated energy? Okay. So here we go. Here are the key things again. I'm going to make sure I describe the main purpose of the pie charts. I'm going to say what energy source did each country rely on most for their energy. I'm going to then talk about what they relied on the least. And also I'm going to talk about the similarities or differences in how they generated energy. Here is my introductory paragraph. These 4 pie charts presenting the energy sources used by Germany and France to generate electricity in 2009 show that Germany mainly used conventional thermal energy, whereas France generated most of its energy through nuclear power. Both countries relied on renewable energy the least. Actually, I mean, that's actually not true, actually. Obviously, France actually relied on conventional energy less. So I'm going to actually change that one. This is the benefit of reviewing your work. So if I go to change that, I'm going to change that slightly. Both countries relied on renewable energy. I'm going to say little, very little. Oh, enable editing, bear with me. So you can change that. So the importance of editing is shown here. Oops. Very little. Still makes grammatical sense. And it doesn't mess up my PowerPoint. There we go. So as you say, both countries relied on renewable energy very little. However, the types of renewable energy they used vary considerably. The diagram also shows that Germany generated 50 billion kilowatts more energy than France during this year. So, as you can see in my first sentence, I have described the main purpose of the pie charts. I then said what both of them relied on the most for their energy. I then said what they rely on the least. And I've mentioned the similarities and differences. You don't need to spend too long on the introduction. Just cover those main points. Now, going on to our main body paragraphs. So for paragraph 1, and then I'm going to make sure that I focus on the all types pie charts. So those 2 pie charts that are on the left-hand side. I'm going to go into greater detail. And as you can see, the majority of Germany's electricity comes from conventional thermal sources. To help you answer this question and to talk about it, think about what the words that are synonyms of conventional in this example. What does it suggest about their policy towards electricity generation compared to France? Start to give your maybe some opinions on what this means about their attitude towards energy production. France's electricity is mostly nuclear energy. Just think about what you know about nuclear energy compared to conventional thermal sources like coal, natural gas, and oil. Can you think of any words that are antonyms of conventional? Paragraph 2, I'm going to focus more on the renewables. So France's renewables rely heavily on hydroelectric energy, with little focus on wind, biomass, and solar energy. Germany's energy sources show more variety. So keep thinking about what adjective we could use to describe the spread of energy, of the energy sources. Think back to that first task. What's a good word that we can use to describe when something has a lot of variety? And also, what other renewable energy source should be brought up that isn't mentioned in my previous paragraph? So I did sort of talk about this briefly, but it could easily be missed. This the 5th renewable energy. Right, here is my model response for for the first paragraph, and I've written some top tips to help you hit each of the criteria. Here we go. What is clear from these pie charts is that Germany's adherence to conventional thermal energy suggests that they have not modernized their electricity generation as much as France had in 2009, which placed a strong emphasis on nuclear energy for its electricity production, producing 76% of its 510 billion kilowatts per hour of energy with it. On the other hand, Germany only produced 23% of their 560 billion kilowatts per hour from nuclear. France used conventional energy the least out of their 3 main types of energy sources at 10.3% of their energy output, compared with Germany's significantly higher percentage of 59.6%. Both countries showed a modest attempt at producing electricity with renewable sources, with Germany producing 17.4% and France producing 13.7% of their electricity with these types of sources. And so there, as you can see, those are the top, I've hit the top tips. It's very important that you should be able to talk about it in a way that someone who can't see the diagram could recreate it. Now I'm going to focus on paragraph 2. I'm going to just leave this up there for a minute. I want you to think about what could make that a successful paragraph by following those top tips. Bear with me. Okay, let's go and have a look at my response following these top tips. So the key thing here is to try and avoid using the same words. Look at the grammatical range. Avoid using the same words to start sentences. Simple sentences can make the writing flow easier for readers. Right. So, shorter paragraph, this one. The breakdown of the renewable sources shows that Germany diversified their renewables more than France did. See how I'm putting that word from the first task in there, diversified. And notice how I'm talking about the past as well. It shows an awareness that these pie charts were made in 2009, which is 15 years ago. So writing in the past tense is very, very appropriate here. Germany split their renewable output by using wind, 39.9%, biomass, 39.3%, hydroelectric, 17.7%, and solar, 6.1%. However, France focused largely on hydroelectric energy, expending 80.5% of their renewable energy on this source, thereby using far less of the other sources like wind, 10.5%, biomass, 8.1%, and solar, 0.9%, to produce its electricity. Finally, it is important to note that neither country used geothermal energy to produce electricity in 2009. So again, mentioning the importance there that geothermal is not used. So I finally got that mentioned. And then finally, writing a conclusion paragraph. Just going to give you 30 seconds to go through those top tips, and then I'll show you my paragraph. Okay. So just want you to draw your attention to the grammatical range and the lexical resource. I'm going to use clear language here. You don't need to say anything bold here. In fact, you don't want to repeat anything. You don't want to produce any new information. You're just summarizing the main information. And I think it's important to try and use relative clauses to begin the paragraph. Make it clear that it's a concluding paragraph from the off. And try to use a concession clause, like a clause that contrasts with the main clause. This is the sort of the fancier grammar that can help you show that you have a strong grasp of different grammatical concepts. Okay, let's go. Not a long paragraph at all. In conclusion, although Germany created 50 billion kilowatts per hour more energy than France in 2009, they used far less nuclear energy than them. Germany used far more conventional thermal sources than France, and also more renewable sources, showing that they use a wide variety of sources to generate electricity. I should probably say they used. I should. Yeah. If I was to improve that, actually, I would change that to say they used, past tense, a wider variety of sources to generate their electricity. Okay, I want you to do one yourself now. This is the task that I want you to focus on. The pie chart shows the amount of money that children's charity located in the USA spent and received in 1 year, 2016. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. And I'm going to keep this up there, the top tips there for you. So break down the 4 paragraphs by writing an introductory overview that outlines what the pie charts show and the key information. Write a body paragraph focusing on the revenue sources and give as much detail as is relevant. Write a body paragraph focusing on the expenditures and consider the difference between the total costs and what this means for the charity. And finally, write a conclusion that summarizes the key information from both paragraphs. I want you to pause the video here, and in the comments, you can write your response, and I'll give feedback to anybody that writes a response in the channel. I'll only respond to, let's say, 20 people a week. So if this does get hundreds of responses, you'll have to bear with me. But I don't think there'll be too many. But if you know, if 20 people want to respond to this one, I will give you feedback on each of them. So you can just pause it here and write your answer in the comment section below. But for now, I'm going to have to end the video there. Please make sure you share your responses. You can pause the video on this page and then share your responses. I've been Nick Carey. Thank you for joining. Have a good day, everyone.